Well, Peter Fitzpatrick back at the scene of you-know-what happened 2 weeks ago. Has to be a very emotional occasion. They've got to block out what happened against Meath and settle down to play in this fourth round All-Ireland qualifier. And Dublin have made the better start, winning primary ball in the middle of the field. Alan Brogan trying to go by him and McCauley. Just holding, waiting. Good looking shot. What a good point. And Alan Brogan leads the way with Dublin's first point from play and their second in this match. This was a lovely individual score. Again, it's Dublin who win the balls in midfield, and that provides the platform for the attacking wing halves like Kevin Nolan here. Recycling it in as far as O'Gara, now trying to free himself, looking for a gap, getting a gap. Oh, O'Gara! Oh, it's in the back of the net. Dublin's first goal of the match, scored by Owen O'Gara in the 11th minute. Really, the goalkeeper should have got his two hands and his body behind it. That should have been saved, and instead Dublin lead by 1-3 to no score. Perfect start for Owen O'Gara. Well, after the brilliant start they made, can Dublin now build upon it again? Corkery inside here to Cullen. On his left, nice and composed, lovely score. Brian Cullen's first point, and Dublin's first score for 11 minutes. And it's now 1-4 to a point. Michael Dara McCauley on as far as Brian Cullen. Where's the marking? It's so slack, it's ridiculous. 7 points between them, and it might be worse from Louth's point of view in a moment. And it is a second point of this match for Brian Cullen, the man we knew for so long as a centre-half back, but now very much a player who uses his talent in any area of the field, and Dublin are the beneficiaries. It's been really easy for Dublin. Ross McConnell, big, long one, great pass to Alan Brogan. Dublin have played some wonderful football. Inside towards O'Gara, has Bernard Brogan, will he use him? It's still O'Gara, and he's got another one. Never scored a championship goal before today, and now he's got two. This one coming in the 33rd minute. What a first half for Dublin. From this ball, invitingly kicked in here to Owen O'Gara, who judged the hop well, got about Desi Finnegan and placed it low in past Neil Gallagher, and it's now 2-6 to just a point. Here's Desi Finnegan. Well, if they're to go out of the championship, they won't want to go out without a fight. Here's Mark Brennan. Just about held on to by Louth and by Adrian Reid. Trying to set it up here for Declan Byrne. And the substitute kicking and putting it over the bar. Something to applaud about at last for the Louth fans. And their substitute, Declan Byrne, putting it over. His second ever championship score. But it's the first point from play for Louth in this fourth round qualifier. Brian White now. Dropping at the 13-metre line, fisted down there by Lennon, waiting for a player to break onto it, but nobody there except Ross McConnell, and they've given it away as far as Darren Clark, and Clark puts it over the bar. Well, two good points from play now by two Louth substitutes, and Darren Clark, the 27-year-old, who'll be remembered for a goal against Tyrone 2 years ago, gets a point here. And the referee giving the decision Louth's way, reaches Adrian Reid. They're 8 points behind. It's a big one in towards Shane Lennon. Can he get there? He can, and he fists it over the bar. His first point. Didn't score in the Leinster final, and Shane Lennon from Kilkerley Emmets up there north of Dundalk will be very, very pleased with this. Again, primary ball, one in midfield. O'Gara taking on his man once again, who's McFadden. He's got 2 goals and a point. Slips it inside to Alan Brogan. Players are calling for it. Conal Keeney was waiting for a pass. Never came. Comes out to Adrian Reid instead. In comes the challenge here of Paul Flynn. Well blocked. But still it reaches a Dublin attacker, and it's Alan Brogan. Cullen standing his ground, showing nice approach, good control, and that is a gem of a point by Brian Cullen. He's got 3 points. That's his first of the second half, but it was the sheer quality of that wonderful score. Dublin held it up and were patient. Brogan was involved, that's Alan Brogan, but full credit in the end to Brian Cullen for a terrific shot and a lovely score. Adrian Reid. Nicely down here as far as Ronan Carroll. Little move here by Keenan, took it in his stride, never had to break stride, got away from Fennell, and he would deserve a score here, and he gets one. One of the game's outstanding performers in the first half of this championship has been Paddy Keenan from St Patrick's, and the 25-year-old delivers a lovely score for Louth here. It just improves what is going to be a disappointing final scoreline, because there are still 9 between them. MacDonald now. Good alert movement there by Maguire. Nice released again. And the final chip is another beauty, and it's gone over the bar. The scores are mounting up now, and this latest one is credited to number 21, Declan Byrne. And Declan Byrne has kicked his 2nd point for Louth. 7 points between them. Here comes Bernard Brogan. Suddenly there's pace and there's penetration and there's product. His first point from play. 3 and all for Bernard Brogan. That was a great score, and it's 2-14 to 12 points. And the referee blows the final whistle, and Louth go out of the championship. We'll see more of Dublin in the quarter-finals, and they progress by virtue of their victory here at Croke Park by 2 goals and 14 points for Dublin, 13 points for Louth.
We learn an awful lot, and you need a good strong panel of 30 players, and like, you know, this year's championship has been very good to us anyway, and we've learned a lot, and we just have to go back and to study and study. I think our fitness level will have to maybe lift it a wee bit more. I think we've a good forward line. I think when you have a good forward line, you're kind of going in the right direction. We have a good midfield player, and I think overall, I think that the football in Louth will definitely improve from our campaign this year in the championship.
I think it was a shame what happened to them in the Leinster final. I think they put so much into trying to win a Leinster title. That was probably the level of where they were pitching for this year, and I suppose to lose it, and so heartbreakingly was difficult for them to pick themselves back up. And to be honest, I was expecting them to have a bit of a sting in their tail, but I think once we got a top, then it was difficult for them to come back.
You've been making steady progress, haven't you, the backdoor route?
Oh, we have. You know, it's a young team, and you know, most of the time you can't fault the effort that has been put in there, but you know, we've an awful lot to do to progress to the next level for sure.
All right, so Louth's season ends. Joe, have you sympathy for Louth? Or?
Well, I think everybody has sympathy for them, you know. I mean, you know, the Leinster title was the be-all and end-all for them, and it was just one of those small tragedies that happens, you know. I mean, I think there was never any prospect of them going any further, and yesterday, you know, they were it was like a ghost ship arriving into Croke Park. They weren't really there in body, and, you know, it's a shame because, you know, it can't be retrieved, but there it is.
What about you, Kevin?
I would have had a great empathy and sympathy for them, you know, in the immediate aftermath of it. Yeah. But then, once the reality bit in and they weren't getting the replay, my sense was, now, let's get realistic about the next match. And like, there was guys doing interviews close up to the match on Saturday and still talking about the Leinster final and the grievance, and that's understandable. You know,
but it was an awful kick.
They couldn't leave it behind them. It was understandable. But then the display on Saturday, I'd have to say, hand in heart, I was disappointed with Louth. They didn't do enough for me. Yeah. There should have been some sting in them. You know, they should have said, well, we'll put it up to them.
But
and
they're
we'll
a very limited team. I mean, like, I saw them in Caiston Park against Antrim in the league, and Antrim beat them, I think, by 12 points in the middle of the season. You know, so. You know, it was a euphoric run to the Leinster title.
But it was over
to the
so
Leinster
quick.
Final.
It was 1-3 to 0.
It was a wild kick in the stomach
minutes.
for them.
Yeah,
But different, I think, if it was a team that were used to a bit of success and even had some sort of tradition. But a team like that with no tradition, you know, and to come from nowhere like that, and then all of a sudden, you know, the prize is snatched away from them in the most rotten circumstances. I mean, it was a kick in the stomach that they couldn't recover from. You know, the Leinster title was it for them. You know, and I mean, for years to come now, you know, people will talk about that moment.
All right, then, well, let's look at Dublin maybe then. You were impressed with their work rate, Kevin?
Well, it's probably one of the major things, or I won't say the only thing, but one of the major things going for them is their work rate. Pat Gilroy has selected lads that, well, it's a key factor. He's selected guys now that are not going around with any old nonsense, and they're getting stuck in and they're working really hard. And what I concentrate on here are the forced turnovers. Louth, it has to be said, did enough unforced turnovers to last the season in this match. But Dublin did extremely well. And what they're trying to do, Des, is counter-attack is the best way to score in GA. Okay? The attack comes into you, you turn over the ball, or you dispossess, and then you quick transition into the attack. And that's where the scores come. And that's what Dublin are really building this house on, in my opinion. Yeah. And it's the only way they can stop these major collapses in games where they're giving away big scores, the hemorrhage when they get into a bit of trouble. And it was pretty decent. It was another incremental improvement on the previous qualifier matches.